In It Together SC and the In It Together SC and the Diabetes Action Council of South Carolina present Wellness Wednesday every Wednesday on Coping with Tre Tailor. Coping. It's Wellness Wednesday on a Thursday because of technical difficulties yesterday. We had to move the show, but thank you so much for joining us. In It Together SC and the Diabetes Action Council presents Wellness Wednesday today on a Thursday on Coping. I'm Tre Tailor, and today we're coping with smoking and diabetes. Catherine Warner joins us. She's with the South Carolina Department of Health and Environmental Control's Tobacco Division, and Dr. David Keely also joins us. He is a local physician, and both of them will join us coming up next. Thank you both so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. We're going to come to them next on Coping with Tre Tailor, but first, your community updates. Columbia City Council approved several big projects on Tuesday's meeting, including a $1.16 million for Columbia's Rapid Shelter, which opened this week. Also, the mayor's request for $150,000 for establishing and hiring a director for the Office of Violent Crime and Prevention and hiring a director for the department, followed by another request for $652,000 for the project's next 3 fiscal years. Council also approved a $300,000 request from Council Member Tina Herbert for the Food Insecurity Solutions Initiative to get food to those areas that might not have a lot of options. And the Comet bus system is providing rides to the polls next Tuesday on the Comet's fixed route buses and DART services. Riders can plan their trip using the Transit app and can visit catchthecomet.org/routes or call 803-255-7100 for more information about the routes offered. Now, adults with disabilities and older adults can call 803-255-7123 for DART services and let the employee know they're traveling to their voting location. All of that information and more should be scrolling at the bottom of the screen throughout the show. SC DHEC has your most up-to-date list of times, dates, and location for COVID testing in and around South Carolina. Visit scdhec.gov for more information. Now, again, scrolling at the bottom of the screen throughout the show, you'll see information about where you can get a COVID test online. Free COVID testing is available online at covidtest.gov. Also, COVID vaccines for vets are available at the VA. The various retail locations where you can get COVID testing, which include CVS, Walgreens, and also the CVS is located in Target stores, as well as most of your drugstores. Now, the Comet bus system, as I said, is not only offering free rides to the polls, they're also offering free COVID shots, not only at their location, but they'll also give you a free ride to get your COVID vaccination at the corner of Sumter and Laurel Streets. Online registration is available at Get Set Up. If you or someone you know has a little technology challenge, Get Set Up can help you get set up to make your COVID vaccine and also your COVID testing appointment. Now, we'll also have several financial resources scrolling at the bottom of the screen, which includes FEMA has their COVID funeral reimbursement program. If you lost someone due to COVID, you can get a reimbursement from FEMA, and that's still going on. SC Bar Association and SC Legal Services has a toll-free number and website for rental and mortgage help. Lexington County has a bill assistance program. SC Housing and Dominion Energy have a rental and utility assistance program. And if you or someone you know is having a challenge coping with COVID or anything, the South Carolina Department of Mental Health has a 24-hour assistance line called SC Hopes. Finally, we mentioned to you a couple of weeks ago, the student loan forgiveness website is open and available. It took me like 5 minutes to apply, and I got an email back in just a couple of days. So visit studentaid.gov for more information. You're watching Wellness Wednesday on a Thursday from In It Together SC and the Diabetes Action Council. We are streaming live on the In It Together Facebook page. Now, please go over there, hit like and share and follow, and not only find out about diabetes prevention programs in your area, but find out about all of the great information they offer on the In It Together Facebook page. We're also streaming on the In It Together YouTube channel. Please go over there. Once again, hit like and share and follow and find out all about In It Together. We're also streaming live on the TaylorMade production page on Facebook. That's the home of Coping. Please go over there. Once again, hit like and share and follow and get notifications as to when we go live every Wednesday, today on Thursday for Wellness Wednesday from In It Together SC and the Diabetes Action Council, and also on Thursday and Friday. We're also streaming live on our YouTube channel. Please go over there. There you can find 3 years of information, interviews, and resources to help you cope with whatever you happen to be coping with. We also have a presence on Instagram and also on Twitter. I'm Tre Tailor, and you are watching Coping, and this is our Wellness Wednesday segment. Today, we're talking about the Great American Smokeout and how smoking affects every aspect of your health. Coming up next, we'll talk with Catherine Warner. She is a community outreach coordinator for South Carolina Department of Health and Environmental Control's Tobacco Division. We'll talk to her coming up next on Coping. I'm Tre Tailor. We'll be right back.
Computers, they're a part of our everyday lives. But when they're not working, they're an everyday problem. So call Computers Unique, your everyday solution. 803-351-5821. Is your computer running slow? Won't turn on? Do you need a screen replaced? Or maybe you just need another computer? Well, Computers Unique is your one-stop shop for all your computer needs. They have a wide variety of new and pre-owned PCs, Macs, and tablets. So call Computers Unique, Dutch Square Mall. 803-351-5821. 803-351-5821.
Hi, I'm Donnie Ray. Campbell with Richland County Sheriff's Department. As a strong advocate of healthy lifestyles and habits, I know that taking care of your health is important, which includes knowing if you have prediabetes. Prediabetes is a serious health condition that puts you at risk for developing type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and stroke. Visit InItTogetherSC.org and take the online test. This message has been brought to you by the Diabetes Action Council of South Carolina.
In It Together SC and the Diabetes Action Council of South Carolina present Wellness Wednesday every Wednesday here on Coping with Tre Tailor. I'm Tre Tailor. Thank you so much for joining us. We are streaming live on the In It Together Facebook page. Once again, please go over there, hit like and share and follow and find out about the diabetes prevention programs that are both in person and virtual in and around South Carolina. Get your health and get your life back on track and get a free program from In It Together. We're also streaming live on the In It Together YouTube channel and also on the TaylorMade production page on Facebook. That's the home of Coping with Tre Tailor. Please go over there, hit like and share and follow, and find out when we go live, which is Wednesday on Wellness Wednesday from In It Together SC and the Diabetes Action Council, and then again on Thursday and Friday. We're also streaming live on the TaylorMade production YouTube channel. There you can find 3 years of information, interviews, and resources to help you thrive and survive as you cope with life. We also have a presence on Instagram and also on Twitter. Today, we are coping with the Great American Smokeout. Catherine Warner joins us. She provides outreach and communication support to DHEC's Division of Tobacco Prevention and Control, where she's focused on educating communities about the health risks of using commercial tobacco products. Hey, Catherine, thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate it.
For having me back on your show. I'm really happy to be able to talk to your audience again.
Yeah, thank you so much. So tell us about the Great American Smokeout. What types of events are taking place to help people kind of get motivated to stop smoking?
Oh, sure. Well, it's actually great that we're having Wellness Wednesday on a Thursday, because the Great American Smokeout is actually it's a national observance from the American Cancer Society that happens on the third Thursday in November every year. And it's an opportunity for smokers and people who use all kinds of tobacco products to be encouraged to try quitting, at least just for one day, or to make a plan to quit. And, events happen at the community level all over. more. People do health fairs. People do some ad campaigns or press releases, or they may sponsor like cigarette butt litter cleanups. It really depends on the communities and what they want to see. I see Great American Smokeout as just a really great opportunity to get people thinking about quitting smoking, which is so especially important for diabetics, as we'll talk about in just a little bit. But, I think it's an opportunity for people to get really creative with what they want to do and just bring, quit support into the minds of everybody. So.
What are some of the steps people need to take to stop smoking? Because it's such an addictive habit. And, people go through a lot to try to quit. Tell us about some of the steps that are important for people to take.
Well, there's not one approach that I would say would fit everybody, of course. And when you sign up for support services through any number of support services are available. There's the South Carolina Tobacco Quit Line, there's smokefree.gov sources. They all pretty much point you in the same direction, which would be starting with a quit plan. You need to set a quit date. Do things like tell your friends and family that you're planning on quitting so that they can help hold you accountable. Remove all the reminders, things that would be considered triggers that might make you want to smoke. And, I think it's just, trying to find healthy substitutions. But when you do work with a quit coach, like you might find through a service like the South Carolina Tobacco Quit Line, that quit coach can help you make your quit plan and help you identify your triggers and what's going to, like what it might feel like as you go through withdrawal and have to deal with cravings and things like that. So I think it's really important for people to tap into those services, whether it's text message support, or whether it's online support, web-based support, individual counseling, whether you need quit medications or prescription quit medications. A quit coach can help you figure out what you're going to need and what will set you up for the greatest chance of success.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, because I'm sure there are as many ways to stop quitting as there are not only people, but the types of tobacco that people use. Statistics say that nearly 9 out of 10 smokers start before the age of 18 and almost start all smoking by the age of 26. Can we talk a little bit about why people even start smoking?
Sure. I mean, I think that, first and foremost, we know that people start smoking because the products are out there and they're at eye level for children to see in very public places. I think that people start using because maybe they feel like it's going to relieve stress and anxiety, which is another myth that's promoted by the industry. Science shows us that smoking actually increases anxiety and depression and stress. But I think that, it's highly, highly addictive. And so once you start, I mean, I think it's very easy to get hooked on it very, very quickly because nicotine is so highly addictive. Which is why, we like to make sure that people understand all of the health impacts of smoking, especially the impact that it would have on people that have diabetes, especially how particular groups of people are targeted with advertising and messaging and coupons and discounts and things like that, because it's very important that people are educated and that they understand that, everybody knows that smoking causes lung cancer, but they don't know that it causes diabetes, heart disease. And that if you have a heart condition or if you have diabetes, that you're 3 times more likely to have circulatory problems that require amputation, that you're more likely to develop heart disease or suffer a heart attack. And I also don't think that they realize that smoking doesn't just impact you, it impacts other people too. So when you smoke, you definitely receive those immediate negative effects, but your secondhand smoke can also increase the chance of a non-smoker developing lung cancer by, I think it's 25%, and for a non-smoker to develop heart disease or have a heart attack by about 30%. So, quitting is good for you and it's great for the people you love.
Yeah, Catherine Warner joins us. She is with DHEC's Division of Tobacco and Prevention Control. She focuses on educating communities about the health risks of using commercial tobacco products. And you mentioned that it is not just smoking tobacco. We think of tobacco as just smoking, but now it's also dipping snuff, I guess you would call it, cigar smoking, and also vaping. Is one better or worse than the other, Catherine?
It's all tobacco. It all has nicotine, and nicotine is going to have that same impact regardless of the form in which you consume it. So we don't necessarily say that one is any better or worse than another. I think you have to look at it from the standpoint of, are you willing to take that risk? Are you willing to take the risk that dip is better than a cigarette, or that vaping might be less harmful than some other form? We tend to view it more as nicotine is unhealthy for your body. It's unhealthy for youth in terms of brain development, and it's unhealthy for your mental and emotional health, for stress and anxiety. It's terrible for your heart, which is what I know Dr. Keely is going to talk more about, diabetes and the effects of nicotine on the body, and how it makes tobacco and nicotine make almost every chronic condition that you have worse. And so it really doesn't matter whether you were smoking a cigar or a cigarette, or whether you were vaping or dipping. It really doesn't matter. It has the nicotine, and the nicotine is what we know has adverse effects on your heart, and can cause cancer.
Yeah, like you said, we're going to welcome in just a minute Dr. David Keely, who is going to join us to tell us about more about some of the health, how smoking affects us with health. We've got the smoking causes diabetes slide up there, and I'm really interested in talking to Dr. Keely about this, because this is something you don't really hear about. People don't know that smoking can cause diabetes. I mean, we hear about obviously the lung cancer, the respiratory problems, but not that diabetes can be caused by cancer. Here's the South Carolina Tobacco Quit line. So tell me, when people access this, what can they get?
Oh, this is a great and wonderful and free resource available to anybody in the state of South Carolina. It's completely free. And if you go to the website that's listed there, quitnowsc.org, it'll have all the information that you need to know to get started. It has an easy online enrollment process. It's available in multiple languages, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And callers are connected with coaches who, like I said, can give them a very personalized quit plan, because that's what Great American Smokeout is about, right? It's about quitting and developing a quit plan. And if you have a trained, certified cessation specialist that can help you, I think that sets you up for much greater success. It doesn't matter what kind of insurance you have, whether it's public or private, or whether you even have insurance. Uninsured callers are served just the same. We also offer starter packs of free nicotine replacement therapies, like nicotine gum and patch. And so I just think I hope that if your callers are interested, that they'll definitely go to the website and learn more about it, and sign up for some services and see how they can get the help they need. And if they don't want to do the quit line, there are additional free quit support services that people can check out that are through a variety of organizations. Some that we know are very tried and true third-party people that we like to support, as the National Cancer Institute, the Truth Initiative. And so these services like Quit Vet is for veterans. And then there's smokefree.gov offers there's smoke-free teen, there's smoke-free woman, there's smoke-free LGBTQ. And then, different efforts through the Truth Initiative, which is one of the leaders in youth prevention and youth cessation support. So there's just so many ways that you can take those first steps. So I would just encourage your audience to think about their health, especially if they have diabetes and heart disease, and start exploring some ways that they can quit for keeps.
Oh, yeah, I love that. Like you said, if people want to quit, and they should, their resources are certainly available. And thank you for sharing all of the resources that are available if people want and should want to quit. Catherine Warner is with the Division of Tobacco with SC DHEC, and she has joined us today to talk about the Great American Smoke Act. Catherine, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Coming up next, we'll talk to Dr. David Keely. We talked a little bit with Catherine about how smoking causes diabetes. Well, we'll talk about that and how smoking affects your other aspects of health. That's coming up next on Wellness Wednesday on a Thursday on Coping with Tre Tailor. We'll be right back.
Hello, I'm Carolyn Sawyer, an entrepreneur and caregiver. Part of taking care of your health is knowing if you're at risk of type 2 diabetes. Prediabetes is serious and puts you at risk for developing type 2 diabetes. Up to 90% of South Carolinians who have it don't know they have it. Visit inittogethersc.org. Take an online test to find out your risk and join a diabetes prevention program. This message brought to you by the Diabetes Action Council of SC.
Visit Davis Tax Service today, 803-419-1001.
In It Together SC and the Diabetes Action Council of South Carolina present Wellness Wednesday every Wednesday here on Coping with Tre Tailor. No, you are not out of your mind. It is Thursday. We're doing it today because of some technical difficulties yesterday. Listen, we've been talking about the Great American Smoke Out, the time allotted to help people stop using tobacco. And that's right. That means vaping, dipping snuff, whatever you use your tobacco for, because the life expectancy, did you know, of a smoker is 10 years less than a non-smoker. Cigarette smoke contains more than 7,000 chemicals, 70 of which are known to cause cancer. Tobacco increases your chance of illnesses and increases your chances of dying. Those are all facts. To tell us more about how smoking affects your health, Dr. David Keely joins us. He is a family medicine and public health physician who's been practicing in South Carolina for the past 43 years. He now does counseling on community level public health and wellness projects with a focus on tobacco product use prevention and cessation support, along with childhood obesity. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Keely. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. It's really great to be here.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Tell us, how does smoking affect us physically? What actually happens when people use tobacco? And I want to stop saying smoking because it's really tobacco use.
Yeah. I'd gotten to where I say nicotine-containing tobacco products because it's the nicotine that is really of concern. The effects on the heart, actually on the developing brain. We know that up to age 25, the brain is still developing. And as you alluded to earlier, the use of nicotine-containing products during the teen years to allay anxiety is kind of a misnomer, because the nicotine actually causes problems with the developing brain and actually precipitates, in some cases, depressive feelings and anxiety. So as far as, we can talk about two groups of people. We can talk about people who aren't smokers and who are at risk for diabetes. And we can talk about people who are smokers and have diabetes. If we talk about the non-smokers, the non-smokers who are at risk for diabetes, by picking up smoking, you interfere with the body's regulation of the blood sugar in several ways. You can see systemically and at the cellular level. And the bottom line is that the the pancreas, which produces insulin, which helps keep the blood sugar under control, gets damaged and doesn't produce as much insulin. And then at the other area of the body, the muscles, which are using nutrition, including glucose, to function, they become less. Um, of, they don't use the insulin properly, so we call that insulin resistance. So in two ways, nicotine will affect the way the body is able to manufacture and or use insulins. This has been shown by several large studies now over the past 10 years. If we look at the group that are smokers and diabetic, they, as you've mentioned, are really putting themselves at risk, particularly if they are also have hypertension and or um, high cholesterol, high blood fats. So if we look at the you know the people who don't have diabetes, now here we go. If we look at the area of people who don't have diabetes and they're smoking, you can see that the insulin resistance I mentioned and the fact that the body stores fat is another way that type 2 diabetes comes about. And unhealthy lifestyles, which include smoking, really bring that on. If you go to the previous slide, um, yeah, if you look at light smokers, which is less than a pack a day, and what over time they have one, they have a 25% increased chance of developing type 2 diabetes. If you're a heavy smoker, that's more than one pack a day, you have 50% higher chance of developing diabetes. So that's that should catch people's attention, and particularly if those folks also, as I mentioned, have either high blood pressure or high blood cholesterol or triglycerides.
Wow, wow. Dr. J.V. Keely consults on community level public health and wellness projects with a focus on tobacco prevention and cessation support. So, Dr. Keely, if someone is already a smoker and has developed diabetes, is there a switch?
Actually, you were talking about quitting. Um, the, the getting the nicotine out of the system is a challenge because it's so addictive, as we've mentioned.
Yeah.
We do know from studies that if you do talk therapy, like was mentioned, is available free through the South Carolina Tobacco for Quit line, and you do nicotine replacement with gum or patches, you double your likelihood of being able to quit. Only 1 in 10 people who go cold turkey actually succeed. But if you have talk therapy plus the nicotine replacement, where you can wean yourself down on the nicotine level, um, that number goes up to 40%, and that's why, as a physician, um, I really encourage folks to not just on their own go to the drugstore and buy gum or patches, but to make that choice to go ahead and get hooked, connected with the quit line or a life coach or whatever's their preference. And
Because you need the support.
absolutely, this is, the studies show that the heroin, as addictive as heroin is, nicotine measures on the addiction scale just as high as heroin. So
Wow. Wow.
it's very addictive, and young kids who are experimenting with vaping, some of them, 1 in 10, don't even realize there's nicotine in the juice. So that's an education thing we have to get across.
Yeah.
And then for all of the ones that are and even down to middle school now, who are experimenting with these flavored juices, they don't realize how quickly they can get addicted. And I'll have to ask patients at times, how long can you go in the morning before you have to take your first draw, from your vaping device? And, if they can't, if they have to do it within the first hour, then that I can tell them, look, your body wants nicotine. You're on the path to, full blown nicotine addiction.
Wow, wow. There's a statistic that says smoking one cigarette or can take 11 minutes out of your life. Is that true?
Actually, you mentioned the life expectancy figures for pack a day smokers for
Yeah.
20 years, cutting 10 years off your life. So if you divide it out, that's kind of what it amounts to. Is by cigarette by cigarette, a pack a day for 20 years, will cost you on the other end. I also want to quickly mention that a diabetic who has um, uh, high blood pressure and or high cholesterol or triglycerides, their chance of having angina pectoris, which is the chest pain from the heart not getting enough oxygen, goes up 10 times. It's 10 times as likely for a diabetic to develop the chest pains which are associated with you know developing a heart attack. And as far as circulation goes, um, it's 4 times more likely that they are going to have serious circulation problems in their legs and face, as Catherine mentioned, amputation. And the other area that's really of concern is stroke. And people who have diabetes, who have high cholesterol or high blood pressure, their risk of stroke is 4 times as high as someone who's not smoking and is diabetic. So this is dangerous territory for people. And as a doctor, it's one of the first things we work on with diabetics is to get rid of nicotine containing tobacco products.
Right. And that, of course, again, that's vaping, that's cigars. Is there cigars, as you said,
Dip,
different snuff?
chew, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. All of that. And I think people think, Dr. Keely, if I'm not smoking it, inhaling it, that I'm okay. It's an alternative form. And as you said, our young people definitely think vaping is better.
right, right. And they can, unfortunately, the marketers have figured out ways to put vaping devices into what school supplies, things that look like erasers or highlighting pens. And so kids, or now they have sweatshirt strings that have a vaping device
Oh my
embedded
God.
in the sweatshirt string. So, so they can just bring the string up and take a puff with nobody really knowing. Marijuana is popular
I
to
was going to ask about marijuana. That was going to be
yeah,
my next question. What
yeah,
about marijuana? Because people will
marijuana.
also say that too. It's from the earth. It's better.
Yep. And that is in high school and getting down into the middle school level because, again, there's no odor. When you burn the marijuana leaves, you get a characteristic odor. But with vaping cannabis juice, there's no odor. So we have a whole area of risk that's added in when they're vaping plus adding cannabis liquid to it.
Dr. David Keely joins us to discuss the alarming statistics and more about the relationship with tobacco and our health. I want to ask you a couple of more questions before we let you go, Dr. Keely. What does smoking affect fertility in men or women?
Okay, I think, well, let's take one at a time. If we talk about men, we know that the nicotine does affect blood flow. And so when we're talking about pregnancy and being able to have the proper circulation for you know fathering a baby, that is definitely affected by smoking and nicotine. And again, in any form, whether it's vaped, smoked, chewed, dipped, cigar. As far as women, we have more concern, not so much with getting pregnant, but once pregnant, the effects of nicotine and the other toxic elements that are in cigarette smoke that can affect the health of the baby, can affect the blood flow of to the placenta, which is where the transfer of oxygen occurs in the womb. And so we know that a woman who smokes a pack a day throughout her pregnancy will take probably at least 1 pound off and likely more off the birth weight of their subsequent baby that's born. So we see small weight, low weight babies among women who smoke. So DHEC and our health departments have a great program they're promoting. It's called Baby and Me Smoke Free. And it's really important that your listeners encourage anyone they know who's pregnant, who's vaping, using nicotine, getting nicotine into their system, or cigarette smoking or marijuana smoking, that it's got to stop to have a healthy baby.
Yeah, yeah. Can you tell us about what you guys are doing at a Tobacco Free York County Coalition?
Yeah, we have two focus areas. One is a big partnership we have with our youth alcohol, other drugs, and tobacco coalition, and we do education in the schools, life skills, because we find that kids who have good self concept, self esteem, are less likely to pick up nicotine. Also, we encourage exercise. There's great studies that show that teenagers who exercise regularly are much less likely to get involved with nicotine-containing products. And then we have policy work that we do, and over the past years, we were instrumental in getting the cigarette smoke and vaping aerosol out of our workplaces, restaurants, bars, and other bowling alleys, and then we're currently working and we're in a high growth county, and we have a lot of tobacco vape shops and retailers popping up, and so we're working with our partners to look at having a way to better monitor, how many tobacco retailers we have, and so that would be through a licensing, thus like alcohol sales. Retail have to have a license. We think that there should be a license for tobacco product sellers.
Yeah. Dr. Keely, I read that over 80% of people in the UK don't smoke. Do you know why that is? And maybe they're doing something we can adopt in the United States?
Well, they have a national, government-run healthcare system, so everybody is plugged into preventive care much more so than in this country, and so I think that's a big part of it. Tobacco industry, I don't think spends as much money on marketing in Great Britain as it does here in the United States. In South Carolina, we know that almost $200 million of marketing money was spent in South Carolina over a 12-month period. So the messaging and the attractiveness of nicotine-containing products in the U.S. I think, is probably a little more aggressive than in Great Britain.
Right. Dr. F Keely has been practicing in South Carolina for over 43 years. He's consulting now on a community level public health and wellness projects with a focus on tobacco product use prevention and cessation support. He's joined us today to help us understand the tragic relationship between tobacco and comorbidities like diabetes, heart disease, high blood pressure, stroke, fertility, you name it. Tobacco affects it. And that's all the more reason why the Great American Smokeout happening this month is important. There are so many resources available to help you smoke. As Catherine shared with us last segment, that there are websites and specific initiatives for young people, for older people, for women. If you are a smoker, we hope that you will take this opportunity this month to take advantage of some of the resources that you can see on the screen right now that are available in and around South Carolina to help you take charge of your health and stop smoking. Dr. Keely, thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate all of the great information that you shared and for the awesome work that you're doing here in South Carolina. Thank you.
Well, thank you for what you're doing and the way you're helping us to educate folks on these important issues.
Thank you. We appreciate you so much. Hey, if you just joined us, don't forget to hit rewind. Catherine Warner with SC DHEC's Tobacco Division also shared some great information. So listen, if you have a story or initiative that could help someone cope, please email booking@copingwithtretatailor.com. If you have a product or service that could help someone cope, please email copingwithtretatailor@gmail.com. We would love for you to be a proud sponsor, just like SC DHEC, In It Together SC, and the Diabetes Action Council present Wellness Wednesday every Wednesday here on our Coping. Also, Javis Financial Services, Palmetto Media Connections is also a sponsor. Also, the Fifth Circuit Solicitor's Office, Attorney Byron Gibson, Palmetto Media Connections, the Comet Bus System, Computers Unique, Death Square Mall, Agape Counseling and Training Services, and Black Pages Black Expo. The rest of the week, we are talking about elections. Coming up next, several candidates, along with Deaska Spencer with the Richland County Democratic Party. Historian Jim Felder is going to tell us about the statewide and nationwide races we need to be conscientious about, and other candidates. All of that and so much more coming up a little bit later on today and also tomorrow on Coping with Tre Tailor. As usual, I leave you with a spiritual reading. We're going to do a quick one from Jesus Calling today for November 3rd. It says, every time something thwarts your plans or desire, use that as an opportunity and a reminder to communicate with me. Begin by practicing the discipline in all of the little disappointments in daily life. It's often those minor setbacks that draw you away from my presence. When you reframe setbacks as opportunities, you find that you gain much more than you've lost. It's only after much training that you can accept major losses in a positive way. But it is possible to attain the perspective of the Apostle Paul, who wrote, compared to the surpassing greatness of knowing Jesus Christ, I consider everything I once treasured to be as insignificant as rubbish. Devote yourselves to prayer and be watchful and thankful. That's your Jesus Calling for today, Thursday, November 3rd. I'm Tre Tailor. Thank you guys so much for joining us again today on our Wellness Wednesday on a Thursday from In It Together SC and the Diabetes Action Council. Until the next time, I wish you peace, abundant blessings. Take care. God bless. Stay well. And don't forget that COVID is still real. So if you're going to be in an enclosed area with a lot of people, don't forget to wear your mask over your nose and under your chin. We'll see you soon.
Coping, find peace of mind to survive through whatever. Coping, learning the way that we thrive all together. Coping, finding out what's real. Coping, we can heal, we can heal, we can heal. Coping with stress, coping with strife, bringing hope for success, for improving our life. Coping beyond hoping to do more than survive, ways to live a healthy life. Coping and promoting, learning what you can do, 6 ways to a better you.